Well, hello everybody. This is Daniel with Daniel's Bullion Coins, back again this week with my sweet wife Ingrid, and we're
Hi
going to
there.
take some questions and comments that we've had this week and see if we can answer some questions.
Yes, I was going to ask you what first. We'll start off with what do you see as the trend, and what's your finger on the pulse of what's going on, like from here at the shop? What you're
Oh, that's a
sensing?
good question. And we really like to let people know what this is
Yeah.
a very small bullion coin dealer shop downtown Fredericksburg, what we're seeing the trend is and where things are headed. And we've seen really for the last year or so demand for gold, a lot of demand for gold. And we've sold a lot of gold lately, where many years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, it would have been silver. And it's interesting, this week we're starting to see a lot of phone calls about silver purchases. I think people are starting to notice that something's wrong with the price of silver. Why is it lagging so far behind? It's got to catch up to gold. It's got to catch up to the other commodities. And I've told the story before about how billionaires will sell millions of dollars or millions of ounces. Some entity, let's say, somebody is, we won't say who, but millions of ounces are being sold all at 1 minute before the market opens. And you'll see the price drop, stair step down, 3 incremental steps. That's 3 equal hits of millions of ounces of silver being dropped within 1 minute. What investor is going to do that? They're going to wait until the market opens, and they're going to sell a little bit throughout the hours that the market is open and get the maximum amount of money. Why would you sell when the market is closed or a low volume market and watch and try to get as little as possible? Also, something else about silver that I'm noticing is we're hitting on that ceiling again of $33, $34 an ounce. And if you look, that number has been a hard number for many, many, many years, probably 50, 60 years. $33 has been a tough number. And like I've said before, once it breaks through 33 or 35, it goes to 50 very quickly. And I think once it goes to 50 this time, it's going to have momentum for our triple digit, which is what I've been saying and predicting that it's going to do. It's going to hit triple digits. And I've said that before. Back last year, I said it was at 33 to 35, and I expected it to go to 50 very quickly. Trump came in and he said some positive things on crypto, and we saw a lot of people come in and sell silver and go into crypto.
Yeah.
So crypto lost $4 or $5 right there. Well, it's starting to recover right now, and we're starting to see people looking at silver more seriously. So I would say watch silver. I don't know if the retail buyers in the US really move the market that much, but globally, people will start to look at silver, and banks will start to look at silver. You know, they see gold as a tier 1 asset, but they also understand that silver has the potential. So sovereign wealth funds, family offices, they'll start to go into silver, and we're starting to see that on a very small scale here at the shop.
People might ask now, since President Trump is in, do you still think? I'm just asking for everybody. Do you still think silver's going to go triple digits?
Oh, definitely, definitely, without any doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Silver is going to go to triple digit. And I know I've been saying, you and I have talked about that probably for 15 years. I've thought it's going to go to triple digits. And I don't care if I have to wait another 5 years. The payoff for triple digit silver is a reality that will come. And it's just a matter of the patience. You know, 5% of the gains are in the last 95% of the gain is in the last 5% of the time that you hold the asset.
Oh, interesting.
So
yeah.
we may hold the asset for 10 or 15 years, but that very last year or the very last 6 months of it, that it climbs to your expected rational number that you can understand and we can see, is when you sell and make your money. So you hold your asset for 10 or 15 years. And for those who are in it for the long haul and in it for the insurance. Will reap the benefit of triple digit silvers. Sure will.
Okay, my other question was about, we've heard, I had to ask you off camera, but when we first heard this, what is the sovereign wealth fund?
Wow,
that we heard
this
President
is
Trump
huge.
say?
This is like a revolutionary war, and we just blew up the British ships.
Yeah.
because we're changing the whole global dynamics
Yeah.
here with a sovereign wealth fund that was being introduced with the Trump administration. And with that sovereign wealth fund, what they're going to do is they're going to start to put assets in that. So Scott Bassett came out and said, we're going to start digitalizing the U.S. assets. What does that mean? They're going to take gold and they're going to go from $40, which is what its value is on the U.S. balance sheet, is $40. That's hard to
Really?
believe.
Really?
Well, if you correct that number to $5,000 or $10,000 and put that on your sovereign wealth fund, all of a sudden you have massive amounts of dollars, and the government turns into a profit-running business instead of totally loss. Every bit of money it takes in, it loses. It has no gain, no profit. It's a total loss. Well, if we switch that over to an asset balance sheet, we can put our oil over there, we can put our minerals over there, but mainly we can put gold and silver over there and revalue them. So that's where we're headed, and you can see that having an effect already on the LBMA and the gold holdings over there. They're already having trouble delivering. They went from 2 days to 6 weeks on delivery, and they've had to have police come in and protect the place because they can't. And now you're seeing South Korea shutting down their deliveries, so they're not delivering gold anymore. They're keeping their gold and they're buying gold. The U.S. is stocking the gold, so you're seeing it come in, and they're starting to have a revaluation getting ready to come. So the U.S. is stacking as much as they possibly can right now. Yeah.
Okay, Darla, another question. You said how, and on the back of this, you said Scott Besant's going to digitize our assets.
Right.
Now, we had talked about at home, between us, about how you said there were going to be two different kinds of dollars, one a dollar that you travel with and one that's home. Can you explain that?
Sure. So other countries do that right now. They have a citizen's dollar, let's call it, and then they have what we would have is a type of two currencies, and other countries have that right now. They have a global currency that they use, and then they have an international currency. I call it a citizen's dollar. And then we have the reserve currency dollar. So if you have a citizen's dollar and you've got a sovereign wealth fund that's depositing money from things like TikTok sale, we make $500 million. We open up Anwar for oil and we get a couple of trillion off of selling drill contracts or drill permits for Anwar. And we open up gold digging in the Grand Canyon, and we start selling those raw minerals rights to people, and we deposit that into our sovereign wealth fund. Then we can create another currency that's debt-free. And it's backed by gold. It's backed by all these digital assets, and then it's got money in that account from selling permits and things.
That's where Trump is heading.
That's where he's headed. That's my opinion. That's kind of what I'm hearing. I'm putting all the pieces together. So in other words, we can maintain the global reserve currency status, and the BRICS suddenly have no power because that thing is extremely powerful, and they cannot compete with that. So we can make that up here, and then below that, along with all the other currencies, whether it's yuan or euro or whatever, you would have a citizen's currency here in the U.S. And what that does is that brings manufacturing home, because these other countries, they can lower the value of their currency and produce products cheaper than we can, and sell and then dump those cheap products into a currency devalued situation. And if you take that tool away from them, they can't produce things cheaper than us, because we can have our citizens' currency and they have their citizens' currency, and they're not able to manipulate us and produce products cheaper than we can.
Mainly China, right?
Mainly China, I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Japan and Hong Kong, all these different places that manipulate their currency down to be able to produce products and to sell those in the market. They won't have that ability to do that anymore once you have a two currency situation, a reserve currency dollar and then a citizen's dollar with assets backed by the sovereign wealth fund. And then we can make things like Social Security whole. See, Social
Yeah.
Security is not whole right now. It's $270 trillion in debt right now. But if we create this sovereign wealth fund, we can then start to take care of our own citizens. And our GDP needs to switch. This is really going to be interesting. The difficult part comes in. Switching our GDP from government printing dollars to actual manufacturing and productivity, true productivity.
It's going to be revolutionary.
This
It
is
really
something that we're
is.
just, putting out there today. There's going to be many more videos trying to unravel this and explain it and just walk
Yeah.
through it, because it may change and the dynamics of it will change and exactly how it's going to unfold may change. So just going to have to watch the videos and piece it together yourself.
It's huge. I mean,
It's monumental. It's
it is.
revolutionary.
It really is
We're
revolutionary.
spinning the entire political economic system on its head and turning
Yeah.
it upside down. And it's changing everything
It is.
globally. We used to be globally, now we're going internationally. We're going to be nationalists. They always make fun on the media. Nobody understands the definition of nationalist. They think it's a terrible, like
there's a bad
Nazi
connotation on
Yes,
it,
it's a
yeah.
bad connotation, but nationally means we're going to focus in on making the U.S. strong. And this two currency system, sovereign wealth fund with digitized assets. Let me also add to that, people who are on welfare, Social Security, food stamps, watch out. They're talking about a CBDC currency for you. And I've spoken before about the mark of the beast. How far are you going to be dependent on the government for your resources? It's time for you to step out and be dependent on the Lord, dwell in his secret place, and be provided by him. Because you don't want to be in that position where you're taking the CBDC currency and you're dependent on the government for your funds, and all of a sudden one day they really rope you
Even
in.
Elon Musk has talked about how he's going to create an identification system that's infallible, which means
Yes.
no more fraud, which
Right.
means, like you caught on it, I didn't even hear it, but we talked about how you
Yes.
said that the only way to do that maybe possibly is a chip or something.
Yes, it'll be some sort of digital identification system,
Yeah.
and that's the only way they can stop all this fraud.
Right.
Which
Sending checks to 150-year-olds.
Right, things like that. 150-year-olds getting checks and things like that. And so
Yeah.
they're going to start this digital ID system, and that way you can follow where the money goes.
Yeah.
And so watch out.
I
A lot of
know.
people may say, "Well, I've got to because I'm elderly or this or that." That's not an excuse. You can find a way to do something outside of the system. I promise you. No
Yeah.
excuses are acceptable.
Yeah.
You need to be independent.
Wow, you
With the Lord, independent from the system.
you've just downloaded a huge
That is a
thing.
lot
It's
of
huge.
information, and we're going to have to break it down, dissect it a
Yeah.
little bit further in the videos in the future. And if you have questions about
Yeah,
that,
please
send them.
write.
We
Yeah.
would love to hear them. Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate you. Thanks.
Blessings.
Bless you.